My name is Andre V, and I'm the founder of Parcel Lockers Central. And my today's guest is Christian Oestergaard. Hi, Christian. How are you doing?
Hi. Hi, Andre. I'm doing well. Very well.
I'm really honored to have you here because you are definitely one of the brightest minds what comes to logistics and technology related to logistics. You have been years working for PostNord in technology and how do you see our last mile industry right now? Is it healthy? Is it on the brink of a collapse, or is it on the brink of moon?
I think we are far from a break of collapse. I think because I think with the investments we see both from us but also from our competitors is actually the networks are getting more sturdy than they ever been. I think that our end consumers have more possibilities than they ever had in order to have the choices to delivery. We have the traditional, very, I would say, continental solutions. We have more of that in Denmark. We have quite a large percentage of home delivery. And then we have more of the Nordic solutions where I see that the PUDO points are the most common. And now we supplement it a lot with a lot of lockers across the Nordics today. And I see that this is now a trend which is, you see that all over Europe. You see it in the world more or less that lockers is giving the big impact, and especially because we are giving our end consumers a better possibility to pick up a parcel when they want to and where they want to. So I think that we are in a position where we are building up the infrastructures, we're building up the networks pretty good, but then you talk about rentability and how we can get the best use of it, and how we can get the best use across the all the networks which we have next to each other, more or less.
Yeah, this is one thing. I a few months ago took a picture in my hometown Tallinn, where there were six competitive lockers just in a row, and this got viral and mainly negative connotation, but I didn't see it actually negative in a sense that I really respect all those companies and their leaders, and they are taking their own decisions based on their volume and their forecast. So I assume that they have volume there, and although it looks a little bit not ugly, but it can be better looking, but it's working. There are
Yeah.
clients who are using them, and this is the main thing I see.
We have also to remind. I completely agree, and the reason that you have many more is that there is a possibility for all these to find their niches and find their customers. And I think also this is of course something that our customers are using both with us and against us, in the sense that if I order parcels, let's say from a big vendor today, I don't even know who is going to deliver it. When I order it myself on the homepage, it's not always I can choose on the checkout where and who's going to deliver it to me. I this is something that where they are, as a shipper, are choosing which network is fitting best for you. And as an end consumer, maybe I'm more happy to have a wall of 6 different vendors if I don't know who is shipping my parcel, and I just go to that wall of of machines and pick it up from there. Otherwise, I could run around half of the city looking for where my parcels are coming, because if they're not standing next to each other, they must be spread out. And since I don't know if I'm going to have my favorite vendor to deliver it to me or not, then I'm a little bit on the run for my parcel, so to speak. So I don't know where we find the balance. The balance is a place between the convenience that I seek as an end consumer, but also how the shipper is seeking, between who is trying to outperform others by either price or location or service times or whatever. So it's a challenging time, but it's I don't think they are avoidable right now.
Yeah, you really nailed it. My conviction in that question has been always that customer should have control over the delivery. Customer should know exactly where the parcel is ending up, and from my personal experience from the Omniva, I have a feeling that customer is willing to wait more and even pay more if he controls the process and can be sure that what was promised is delivered.
Mhm. But the problem that you have is, I think that it's also quite feasible many times when you talk about a domestic delivery. Then it's usually you go to the same homepages, you know who they use as a vendor, and you are getting quite conformed about that. That's what I see when I look into my own personal experiences. But when I order cross border, then we are talking about many times that the processes are a little bit more dodgy. If I order something from Amazon in Germany, which I do as a Dane, it happens. I have no clue from which warehouse they are picking it up. It depends on the product that I'm ordering, and I know this, and that's why I don't really care about if it's picked up somewhere else. It's first when it reaches the country, I figure out who is shipping it, and thereby what I'm suspecting what's going to happen to me as an end consumer of that experience, because it could be that it comes with PostNord, which I hope, which is where I work, and then I have pretty good control over it. I know how these processes are working, and I know I get usually my home delivery or my preferred delivery to a locker or a pull point. But if I get it through some of our competitors, which is quite good quality, I learned that as soon as it hits the country, I learned that I maybe get it a place which I wasn't prepared for or whatever. So this is, I think that when we come to the domestics, we are quite controlled. But when it comes to the cross-border, we still have some challenges in knowing how long time it will take and where it comes, because it is indicative dates, as you know, and it's also indicative places. But that's where we, as an end consumer, we have to maybe try to see how we want to dictate the market with our feedback and stuff like that.
Yeah, I absolutely share that also, because my sort of go to Amazon is also Amazon Germany, Amazon.de, and the same thing. I can only get the information where it lands when it reaches Estonia. But on that note, actually, we're talking about technology and investments on that, and looking what the Chinese Ali and Temu are doing. Actually, they have integrated Estonian endpoints already into the checkout, and so it's possible. Even
It
for
is possible.
Chinese, it's possible. So it's about willingness, both from the shipper and the carrier side, to make those integrations. And one thing I believe that actually, let's say, we have been investing heavily into the software latest 10 years, but I think that now is going to be years when we are going to invest into integrations, because we have the basic components are ready, but now we need interoperability and data exchange in order to make this happen, what we both are looking for. So do you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree, but it's as you say, it is quite a complexity, because you have transport routes, you have to take care of. You have also that we know that we as end providers, as postal operators, we are in a fierce competition in the markets, and it is a price quality balance that you need to figure. Everybody, the quality is not something you discuss. That's supposed to be there. But if you have some challenges in some connections, you will be challenged straight away. And I don't think that the provider will look at that your end consumer convenience in that case is saying that you want it with that provider if their experience with that provider is not good enough as a shipper. So I think that we still will be a little bit of a hostage in those balances, but I'm completely concur that we should also becoming much better to integrate and already have an idea about where we are getting our deliveries and at what time. I see that just next to where I live, I have a very small Pudo point. It's a fantastic Pudo point, I have to say. And I ask my neighbors every time if they would like to have a locker standing there instead, and they don't want to because they have a fantastic Pudo point. And what's fantastic about that Pudo point is that it serves all vendors, and which means that if I get a parcel from any through all my channels, it comes from anyone. It just arrives at that Pudo point, which means it's 75 minutes from my home, and it serves Spring, it serves UPS, it serves DHL, it serves PostNord. So everybody that they just go to one place. And I think that is also an extreme convenience that we have to see, which is going to be challenging for our locker solutions to do something like that. So I think that we will find always a balance where the convenience is actually having a huge impact on what you hope as end consumer that you can achieve, but which sometimes change.
Yeah. This is also a good point. I see that let's say so far the carriers have been handling big volumes and have been investing into big lockers, and okay, now we are going to smaller lockers and autonomous lockers, but I think the next phase is that the bigger carriers has to start dealing with those smaller communities, what you described exactly. It's not enough that you will handle the Stockholm or Copenhagen central area well. You have to start providing feasible solutions for smaller communities in order to stay competitive. And that's why I see again those kind of location scouting or location data-driven applications are going to be in a big rise upcoming years.
I agree, and I see also our tools are developing from our side on these locations also. I know that the tools that we are working with, which we are developing, some of them ourselves, we are looking at implementation curves on when we put out a locker. You always have a good guesstimate. You look at the demographic, you look at where your competitors are located, you look at transport routes. There's a lot of parameters that you have to look into. You put up then, and that's why these battery-driven solutions of lockers are so practical for finding these sweet spots, is that you can move them very quickly and you can put them up very quickly. But the one thing that we learned over time is that, if we don't get the right curve of implementation, it will take really long time before they actually become a part of your good network. And that's why that we much faster now can say that this curve is not working in the right way. We need to find the better spot, because this is not a spot that fits our end consumer. Even though all our analytics said that this would be a good sweet spot, it is not. And this is changing the complete way of building your network compared to what you did before. But when you're building your network, I think also we need to look at these walls of that you talked about that you have in talent. The reason that they are there is because this is where it makes sense, and we will also have to look at where it makes sense. The loading time is becoming a more important parameter that we have to address, especially in the future. Yes, we have had these Clevon and others robots which have been tried, and also some with success and some with minor success. It's all about marketing. I think it's all about timing where you put them. But I think they are still challenging when it comes to the loading time. And loading time is not just loading time, because it's not just an FTE. It's also that you park a van, which you can't use at the same time. So you need to figure out how can we in the future make these quite easy loaded robo-lockers. I'm not saying that needs to be tomorrow, but it needs to be in the future, where you actually can take modules from a sorting terminal and just inject them into a locker, and then inside the locker you have some kind of robot which are filling the shelves that we know, because the shelves inside is actually the way that they work on the robotics is really, really smart in sense that they are using the sizing, not with a conformed box like you have. If you look at our lockers are, in many cases there is a lot of space around the parcels, and that space is actually waste when you look at it from a compartment size. So that is where the robot shelves are pretty good. So the good thing about having a more versatile robot lockers where you can fit it with modules is that you can pick a module out, which with all the returns or whatever wanted to be shipped. So you actually have both the function, which we're actually trying also here in the Nordics to have as a drop-off point, but also as a pick-up point. You can find that balance, and then you can have a much higher utilization of our lockers. Because one thing that is happening also is that we are, of course, buying more parcels, and our parcels are getting smaller, but it's also we are buying more parcels, and that means that you become lazy as an end consumer. If let's say I have 3 parcels this week. In the old days, every time I ordered a parcel, it was like a big event. Now it's just something normal you do all the time. So do I need to rush down and pick up my parcel? Yes, if it's my new iPhone, maybe I'm pretty picky about that one. But otherwise, no. I know this is just something that it becomes my storehouse, and especially if I order 3 things and I know that the third thing will come on Friday and I get one parcel Monday, Wednesday. Then it becomes a storehouse. It's actually not thought about like that. In the beginning, when we put up parcel lockers, a very, very high percentage were picked up the same day. And we see that they are becoming a storehouse, and they're too expensive to become storehouses also. So we need to figure out, how do we get that balance? I think, because that's maybe why we have so many lockers, is because we know how many days we are keeping goods there. So we need to find this balance.
Yeah, but again, using them as a storage is nothing bad. We have to only ask customers to pay for that. So this might be another income stream for carriers. But
we haven't seen much. We haven't seen much of that yet. But you're absolutely right. This is if you discuss it from a cost base, yes, you should get maybe, let's say you get 24 hours free. Or you get 18 hours free or 12 hours free, what fits, and then you can be charged, especially if you have a Prime account or something like that, which is already related to your cost, to your credit card or something like that. Because otherwise, payments models where you have to pay up is really difficult. You can of course say you cannot get your parcel unless you pay me €1, but I don't think when we see how willingness for paying for green products and stuff like that is really challenging. I think that is taking people a little bit as hostages. But maybe that's the way forward. I don't know. I don't think so.
But
I think we
again,
need to find
I'm already paying in a sense. Omniva has installed a small 8-compartment locker in slipper distance in 200 meters from my house. And this is subscription based. So I do pay €1 per month for that service. And I love it. In a sense, I really love it, because 200, my ordinary locker is 500 meters. I have to think, I have to plan it. 200 meters. I will just go exactly the slippers. I will go the slippers to there. But did I understood you correctly? You said that parcels are getting smaller.
Yeah.
Is it a trend? Because I've heard also opposite trend because the carriers and shippers are sort of learned how to consolidate better.
Yeah, I think it's a question about demographics, huh? Because you can always find a demographic where you have another trend than others. You know
Hmm.
that's what we just continue. We just did because of some other reasons. We just did a sample and we saw that it's not dramatic. It's not dramatic getting smaller, but they are getting smaller. This is what we seen in when we made a sample of x number of parcels. It was quite large number over a period where we measured because we had some old measurements. So we took it one terminal to another and tried to, because we were building up some robotic solutions and trying to figure out, how to do that. And we found out that they were getting smaller. It was not a huge impact, but I think that we will have that impact now because in Sweden we've been having a parcel product which is in the letter base, and we have to have that in other countries as well. And we think that I think that we will merge a lot more in the future because of the networks that's happening. In Denmark we have only letter delivery once a week, and so that's why products are moving. If you need it out faster, then you have to pay quite a lot of fee for that for a day-to-day delivery, and then you have a match which is very close to a parcel, and then you have tracking which is much better, and you have a process which is much better. So I think that you will find these balances. Also, the end consumers are not stupid, huh? So they know what they want and when they want it. So in that sense, that we saw a tendency. You're right. We also saw a tendency to consolidation. If you order at Amazon, you can ask for a consolidation, and they will give you a number of days before extra if they consolidate. And so they do, but it's not something we've seen any dramatically. I don't know where you have these dramatic figures from. If you have them, just share them with me. Not now, but you can do them.
Yeah, I tried to find them out, but yeah, in Omniva, what we did and what working quite well is you mentioned you had sort of in a situation where we had three parcels waiting. What we're doing is we are consolidating parcels to one locker. If you
Yeah.
have already some existing parcels, then we will not put it separately. So it will reserve less
And
capacity
that
then.
and that makes sense, and that is
Yeah,
that makes sense. But I was thinking more. I'm looking at the parcels from a sorting process
yeah,
into the rest of the process, and this is where the things needs to be connected, and this is what
yeah.
we're working on. But I agree that you can have consolidation points at your local level.
Hmm.
That is feasible, but it's an administrative solution that you need to have the right IT backend to make sure that you can do that. But from an end
Yeah.
consumer, perfect.
Let's talk a little bit only about automation also, because one thing I'm curious about is I do believe that the labor intensity is going to decrease in courier deliveries uh, because everything is automated. Let's talk sorting process is almost fully automated. There are oversize products can be manual sorted, but it's very highly automated. We have EVs soon coming out, so basically the transportation is going to be. We have challenges in offloading and non-loading and parcel locker uploading. Those are the challenges, but we are in general we are in the brink of fully automating the end-to-end process. Do you see it happens sometimes, or is it sort of a dream that we can discuss 10 years from now also?
I don't think it's a dream in 10 years. I think in 10 years we're getting close. And I think maybe in half of the time we're getting closer. And there's a lot of tendencies going on when it comes to our employees. If I ask a 15-year-old, do you want to work in the post? You work at night or you work as a driver alone somewhere in the truck. This is not, they want to be influencers and they want to sit in a cafe and work. And they don't, they even want to do that when they're studying. When I started to work in the post, I was studying. I was at university, and for me, it was a very good place to work. I think that the young people today, they want to have something which is more fancy already from the beginning. So we're gonna have staffing issues at some point. And yes, labor cost is. We have this curve where you say that at some point you need to find a sweet spot between when labor cost and automation or robotics are coming. I think that that sweet spot is moving constantly because automation becomes cheaper, and FTE cost gets more expensive, and they get more expensive for many reasons. That it can be driven by the state in working environmental rules. We see that a lot. It can also be in municipalities driven. If you know that we only want to have EV vehicle solutions in our cities, we have that. Which is also driving cost because you need to actually take perfectly used vans and have to not use them anymore because otherwise you can't drive into that city. That's is also making cost moves, which we have to, and we haven't solved all the places, but a terminal, yes, it's pretty much automated, but it's not automated everywhere. We still have people who are receiving the parcels. We still have people who are tipping the parcels. We still have somebody who physically needs to sort it in the end to the right direction. All these places are things we are working on, but there is like a cost ratio on where it makes sense. And as I told you with the lockers, which are robo lockers, I call them, at the end, the most labor intense cost we have of these lockers is actually filling them. That it actually takes longer time than we think. And I think all audits shows that that all these nice figures that we are met by with our locker vendors, they're challenged. They're challenged when it comes to what it actually takes to fill these lockers. So yes, we need to look at these things because one, we are getting probably difficulties in getting people anyway to be at our process, and we need to identify where we need them in order to make sure that we have people there where we need them. And if you look at a home delivery, we still haven't got a humanoid yet who jumps out of a vehicle and delivers your parcel to a porch. I saw FedEx, they had some for a couple of years ago, which looked very scary and it was taken from iRobot or something like that, delivering parcels. I think none of us would feel very comfortable if something like that jumped in and tried to deliver a parcel, and we need to. But as you say, that because the home deliveries will never disappear, it will always be there. But yes, over time we will find solutions to do that. But I think that if we define our process, we can actually have a parcel which is going from the shipper to our end delivery in 2-3 years, which is not touched by persons at all. I'm sure of that, and it's gonna come. I think the critical point is there's 2 points. I would say the critical point is when we usually sort to distribution, as we call it in a sorting term. You get it from the chute and you have to sort it into directions. You can solve that, but it's quite investment heavy, and there's a lot of benefits in doing that investment, but we have already invested in the infrastructures we have today. And in Oniva, you have also bought sorters, and they still are perfectly working for the next 15 years without us changing them. And then we want to change them already now. And that is a lot of calculations, which is not good. But if you look at from the other process is how do we get it into the locker? Because if we take the best solution to have a non-touch parcel, it will actually be a robo locker solution. And that's what I said in the beginning. is that we sort into a module, and that module is put into a robo locker, and inside the locker you have a robotic arm which is putting it on the shelf. And as soon as it puts it on the shelf, it will send a signal to the end receiver that the parcel is there, and you have 6 hours now to pick it up before we put it back into the box, and you can buy it for the next day as well. So I think that is feasible in 3 years.
It's very optimistic. Listen, Christian, we need to wrap it up. There are so many other topics I would like to talk about. You definitely, we didn't speak anything about AI. I think that AI is not today, but again, after 3 years, is going to be impacting deliveries a lot, and other aspects. Listen, thank you. I think that our viewers also who would like to hear you more have possibility this fall. You will be speaking at Berlin Better Mile meetup on 11th of September. You will be speaking in Leaders in Logistics conference in London in the beginning of October, and definitely people can see you in Post and Parcel Expo in Amsterdam later October.
And I will challenge you, Andre, because I think already today AI is having an impact on the way that we are sorting and the way that we are distributing, and I think this only will increase for the benefit of both us as an operator, but also for our end consumer. So I will, just reach out for me, and I will be there.
Yeah, I do. This is a sort of capacity planning and demand planning is one of my favorite topics. So this is AI related, and I can talk hours about that. So, but maybe we can find time in Berlin or London or Amsterdam later on. So thank you, Christian. It was a pleasure talking to you.
You're welcome.